and still, you know, conveying those same ideas that you had originally. And sometimes I'm wrong. You know, sometimes the ideas I think would be the best aren't. Going
Sure,
in, like
sure.
in my head, she's going to be one way or he's going to be one way, and when I get there, I was like, that was not right. So then, but it's still with starting out with that idea and trying to work it out.
There's also some of your work that doesn't necessarily fit inside the frame. The subjects are maybe partially out of the frame.
Yeah.
Or something that adds to the intrigue. What's going on there?
Well, there's a commerce reason for that. And one of the reasons, the funny thing is, I like painting faces.
Uh-huh.
But faces are hard to sell.
That's true.
If you
unless somebody commissions a portrait.
Right. But if they like that person, they think that person's a beautiful person, but they don't want that person in their living room.
Yeah.
So there's that. Then there's also, I do like, to imply a world beyond what's inside the frame. So there's that too. That's why a lot of times there's windows and doors, places to see, visually kind of walk through. And sometimes it's distracting. The face could be distracting.
That's true. That's true.
So there's a lot of those reasons.
Exactly. What about commissions, Bill? Do you have a lot of people coming to you and say, "I'd like you to paint so and so"?
I do, yeah. And one of the ways I'm able to make a living at doing this is by doing commission work. And it's nice at this point. Most of the time, when people do come to me, they want me to do it. They want it to look like my paintings. They don't want obviously a pretty, Sears portrait.
Right.
And what we always strive for, and I think if you look at my portraits, you should be able to look at them, and they don't really look that much different than the paintings. Because what I'm trying to do is make an interesting painting that they just happen to be in. So for me, a compliment would be someone comes into their house and say, "Hey, that's a really cool painting. Oh, that's you in there." And it's not just a portrait. It still has the same ideas that the paintings do. Maybe you're doing something, or like a little slice of your life. You're not posing. You're not just posing for the camera.
Yeah, that interested me too when I looked at your website, because you had portraits as a separate category from paintings. And before I looked at it, I thought, well, what's the difference here?
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, that is a good thing. The only real difference, if you go to the website, the portraits as of the paintings, is they were commissioned.
Right.
And some of those I think are surprising, because there's a few nudes on there. So I think that's interesting. I think that's why they're sort of sectioned off as well. That kind of what's possible in a portrait. And when we start off with the process of doing a portrait, it's like, don't exclude anything. Anything's possible.
Sure. And speaking of commissions, I've noticed also that you've done a lot of illustrations. Many of them for CD covers?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say a lot, but I have done some. Done some magazine recently, and I always do CD covers and posters and that kind of thing, and that's fun. I mean, there's always really fun ideas with that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, one thing we haven't talked about is your long list of bests, and the awards and recognitions are almost always best in, best, as you look down the list, which I'm sure, although you certainly don't paint for awards, must be gratifying, because you realize that people do see your work and find it special to them.
Yeah. That's always surprising. It's always nice.
And of course, there are different jurors always for all the exhibits, and so you're getting a lot of different points of view. It's not somebody who just sort of falls in love with Bill Harris' work and is doing this over and over and over.
But I always like to point this out too, that a few years back I won a Best in Show in a local show, but in that same show I also had a painting rejected. So it's
sure.
And there was a painting I did a Best in Show, and then I put that same painting in a restaurant, and it was kicked out of the restaurant for whatever reason. So you take it for what it's worth.
Right. Well, it's great that there is also the opportunity here in town to have your work shown in many different places, and I suspect that there is a difference in the way it displays in a restaurant as opposed to a gallery.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually think restaurants are better places to see artwork than galleries. Unfortunately, they're probably not as well lit, but some of the restaurants in town that show the work, you get the opportunity to sit with the painting.
Absolutely.
You know, the wine helps. You know, but you actually get to sit. Because I think what tends to happen in galleries, there's a lot to see. You tend to walk through much quicker.
Sure.
And I think at the restaurant you see things you wouldn't see otherwise because you're spending a lot more time with it.
Do you submit your work for exhibit in many different places?
I try, and I have a painting right now that I've recently submitted to the National Portrait Gallery, and I don't think I find out till November if that's accepted. I have shown in other parts of the country, and even in Mexico and California, and a few other places. I recently showed for a few straight years in a gallery in the Pennsylvania area, Philadelphia area. So yeah, I'm constantly trying. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but it's hard. It's hard to do that. It's hard to make a good presence in a couple different places for me.
It's also time consuming.
Yeah, yeah.
And you've got to travel to wherever the gallery is, submit your work.
Right. This area keeps me pretty busy. So,
well, it's wonderful that it does. I'm delighted. The opportunities to see work by many, many artists is very exciting for all of us who live in the area. And there seems to be no end to the wonderful expectations we can all have, which is really great because there's so much going on. Bill, where do you see yourself going with your work? Is there something that you are looking toward that may be a different direction, or something you want to experiment with, or something you'd like to try that you haven't?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's things I'd love to do, but there's also the commerce end of it.
Yes, of course.
You know, and I'm not right now certainly in a position where I can just go and do whatever I want. I mean, I'm lucky in a sense that I do what I want, and I'm able to sell it for the most part. I'm not in a position where I can just do anything I want.
Yeah.
You know, live a great bohemian lifestyle, and just do all kind of crazy things, because I still have responsibilities and things like that. So right now, those have to be on the back burner. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm very, very lucky. I do basically what I want to do in the oil painting and do that. So, but anyway, little ideas, just thoughts that hey, that'd be kind of cool to try. I don't really have a lot of time to do it.
Well, and you also teach, which must be time-consuming as well.
A little bit, yeah. But just the everyday, having 3 kids, and I coach one of my son's baseball teams, and the everyday stuff.
Yeah, but
what I do is, occupies an enormous amount of time as it is. So I'm not able to devote a lot of time to other things.
Right.
Or even want to. I mean, I enjoy what I do. I enjoy doing it. And
are you in the studio most days, or?
Yeah, during the school year when my kids are in school, I'm here every day from 10 to 2, unless I'm not here. I can make my own hours that way.
Right.
I try to get here one weekend day. Baseball again occupies a lot of that time where I'm not here on the weekends. But I'm here almost every day from 10 to 2, and then I work every day at home as well. My home studio.
An oddball question. Do you play baseball as well?
I don't. I mean, I did when I was younger, but, the coaching is certainly enough.
Right.
Yeah.
But you need time to get away sometimes. I mean, of course, with children, you are always occupied in many different ways.
It doesn't take me long to get out of the art world. It's about 15 minutes and I'm done.
Well, I am certainly delighted that you have allowed us to enter into your art world, because it's intrigued me for many years, and I'm so glad to have a chance to actually talk to you about it and understand